As we've been saying, Britain's Vodafone could be discussing the merits of a potential $13.5 billion bid for Indian wireless operator Hutchison Essar. The FT says that will be the subject of a board meeting today, and it comes on the back of figures showing M&A activity in India grew 24% so far this year, with foreign direct investment hitting the $4.4 billion mark in the 6 months to September. So is this just the beginning of a big international M&A push in India? For more, we're joined by Bundeep Singh Rangar, chairman of IndusView. Bundeep, good to see you again. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Let's just talk about the merits, first of all, of what Vodafone are considering. What are they buying? If they make a move here, what sort of market are they buying into? What sort of company would they be buying if they do proceed?
So the last 12 months of worldwide, you had 500 million new mobile phone users added in the world. 1 out of 10 were in India. So 50 million in the last year alone. In August, it hit about 6 million. Last month, 5 million. So the average for the last 12 months has been 5 million, of which Hutchison Essar, the company that's in bid speculation, got 1 million new subscribers. It's the fastest growing market in percentage terms and absolute terms in the world.
Okay.
That's what they're buying into.
So there's lots of reasons why, which is no surprise why actually there might be lots of other people who might want to get their hands on this company as well. So are we just at the start of some major consolidation here in the telecom sector? Yeah,
we are. I guess there's a lot of foreign interest in local mobile operators, just given the growth rates there. Now, the ARPUs aren't particularly high. It's about $9 for Hutchison Essar, but it's a volume play. And that's what they're really targeting, and on the back of that, for their mobile services. There's not very many companies still available for foreign investors to buy. I mean, you've seen Vodafone already pick up a 10% stake in Airtel, and now they're considering a 67% stake in Hutchison. So if there were several players out there, you'd see Orange in the play, you'd see Deutsche Telekom playing more aggressively, and you'll see more companies in India offering themselves up for foreign ownership. There's just not that many with a national footprint.
Where does it leave the Indian players themselves, like Bharti? If this player goes, does it mean that they're left on their own, or will other people go for them? And
if Vodafone succeeds in this bid for Hutch, it'll have to basically relieve itself of the stake in Airtel for regulatory reasons. Now, there's a cap of 10% today in India that if you can either own less than 10% or you bid for the entire company. So that's where Vodafone's stake right now in Bharti Airtel is 10%. Now, if they go ahead, Vodafone that is goes ahead, I think Bharti will just kind of carry on its own. It's the largest, fastest growing operator in India with about 23.5%, 24% of the market share. That's pretty good.
Bundeep, it's more here in Asia. Are telecoms, or is the telecom sector the only one that looks like a potential takeover sector in India, or are there other sectors that might look attractive to foreigners getting into that market?
No, telecom is one of several sectors in sort of the Indian tsunami that's rising out there right now. You've got, obviously, IT, which is a very strong, aggressive growing sector, still the fastest growing sector in India, of over 33, 34%. You've got automotive components, which is now at about 29%, and as you see with the likes of Delphi or Scheffenacker, where costs are just too high to be sustained, Indian manufacturing gets more interesting for them. And certainly you're seeing other sectors like real estate, where, again, a lot of development is needed to be done, a lot of joint ventures and foreign investment taking place in real estate, and to whatever extent is regulatory or otherwise feasible, retail. You've seen the recent deal between, again, Sunil Mittal of Bharti with Walmart, and that's just the beginning of a lot of retail interest in what is probably the last untapped retail market of its size.
Bundeep, it's Michelle here in the United States. General Electric, which, by the way, is the parent company of this network, a senior executive for GE over in India, said recently, I think in the last year, massive growth is occurring in India despite the Indian government. Any chance that's going to change in the next year and they're going to smarten up about the level of regulations and limits on foreign investment?
Yeah, I think, the Indian government, to its credit here as well, has lifted, certain hurdles in the past 10, 15 years, which is why we are where we are today. But certainly you've seen sectors such as IT, where they've had a more or less hands-off approach being the most prosperous, whereas things like print media, which is politically sensitive, or things like retail, which again is somewhat commercially sensitive, to be areas where foreign investors would love to get in a greater way, and certainly banking industry. But the government has to temper off a little bit of its own national interest with that of foreign investors. I can't really blame them too much right now. I think they're doing a decent job, certainly lifting up some more shackles, and we're expecting that next year between print media, retail, and financial services to be open up a little bit more than the previous few years.
Bundeep, I've got a feeling we'll be talking to you a lot more about India over 2007. Thanks very much indeed for coming in. Bundeep Singh Rangar, chairman of